my beautiful lovelies. Hi, it's Emmy. Welcome back to another military ration tasting. Today, I'm going to have my very first Greek ration. And this cardboard box contains a ration that came all the way from Greece, thanks to Christos. Christos, thank you so much for sending this to me. And everything is written, thankfully, in 3 different languages, in Greek and English and French. If you enjoy these kinds of ration taste tests, be sure to check out the playlist where there are loads and loads of videos with more ration tasting. All right, let's see what's inside this box. Directions on how to use the heater and some tissue. Ooh, a can of meat of some kind. Let's see if the Google Translate app will work on this. Looking for Greek text. Use your finger to highlight. Water meat with rind flesh meat urbansen. So this is some sort of meat stew, which I think we could probably figure out just from the picture. Oh, another tin. So it takes a picture and then you can highlight it. Mediterranean de Ethan Grud. So it makes it sound like German. So this is some sort of Mediterranean tomato stew. Ooh, another large tin. This looks like another kind of meat. This one looks like it might have some beans in it. Several packets of what looks like to be crackers. Heater, sugar and salt, and tea. Sugar. 2 candies, 6 packets of fuel, and some coffee. And these look like water purification tablets, I think. Let's see if it'll translate that. Alazone. I don't think these are water purification tablets because they're so large. And it also says 4 milligrams. They don't really look like vitamins either. All right, so I'm not quite sure what that is. Little black-headed matches. All right, so there's that. It's a pretty basic ration. Kind of reminds me of some of the Russian rations in terms of being very hefty and meaty and in tins, and lots of crackers, kind of similar to my Kazakhstan ration. I'm actually going to use the heater for one of these, and the other 2 I'm going to boil in some water so they're nice and hot. So these were manufactured in 2017 and they're good to 2019. So ZSF1 is the meat and ZS04 is the vegetable. So I'm gonna take these paper labels off so we'll have something to compare with after we've heated them up. The halazone, or the alazone as it's translated on the app, so these are indeed water purifying tablets. Alrighty, so I have my canteen here. Put 2 tablets into a bottle full of water. Oh yeah, they smell like chlorine. Oh. All right, 2, and swirl. It says don't tighten it, so we'll let that sit for how long? It says after 2 minutes, stir it. All right, to demonstrate the stove, I'm going to take a cookie sheet. So these are the legs that go downwards. And this goes upwards. Place all fuel tablets in the pocket stove and then light them using closed matches. Place kitchen utensil with content to be heated or boiled on the pocket stove. Use 2 solid tablets when boiling water, more for beverage. Use 1 and 1.5 when heating canned meals. I'm gonna light this here and then I'm gonna take it outside because this off-gases terrible fumes. But for demonstration purposes, I'm gonna start it here. I mean, I know it's fuel, but I'm just curious to see what it says. Solid fuel. Okay, yes, it is going now. Now I'll just place this right on top. It is absolutely lit. I'm gonna take this outside and let this cook. So while the entrees are heating, let's go ahead and make a cup of coffee. It says right there, freeze-dried coffee. Spetima, yep, the crystals and the smell. It's exactly the same as the freeze-dried crystals we can find here. There are the coffee crystals. And it's that very familiar, welcome scent of freeze-dried coffee. Always reminds me of camping. Love it. Yep, exactly the same. Coffee like a little bit watered down. Tastes a bit burnt, but still friendly. Yeah, I think it's just tied with my positive associations with camping, so I actually really like this flavor. Who's calling me? No, I don't know you. Florence, Colorado. No. All right, as I was saying, the friendly, warm reminder of camping. Love freeze-dried coffee for that just kind of contextual sense of it. Love it. Since I have it, I'm going to add some sugar to it. I have 4 packets of sugar. No creamer, just sugar. Ooh, and when you add sugar to it, it's suddenly kind of like dessert. Let's open up the crackers and see how they'll be with the coffee. And they are very sturdy hardtack crackers, and there are 6 of them in here. And before I chip a tooth on them, let's see how hard they are. Oh, not too bad. Let's give them a dip. So these crackers or biscuits or hardtack, whatever you want to call them, are very similar to ones that I've had in my other rations. Very, very simple, firm cracker. And that makes sense for traveling purposes because you just don't want a big pile of crumbs. These are a little bit salty and a little bit sweet, so it goes well with just having it with coffee like this. Or later when I have them as a carb with my entrees. And in terms of flavor, they're very simple and bland, kind of a blank canvas. Tastes a little bit like saltines, but the texture is very different. They're much firmer and cracklier and harder rather than being kind of flaky and crumbly like saltines. And certainly not as salty. So before I get my entrees, I'm going to make a cup of tea. Get my hot water. And this is Jolly Pure Ceylon tea bags, packed in Sri Lanka. Just looks like an ordinary bag of black tea. So I'll put that in there and let that steep. It smells like black tea as well. So this does feel hot. It's more on the side of warm. I added an additional solid fuel block. On the instructions it said 1 to 1.5, so I did a total of 2. Ooh, immediately I smell like beef stew. Look at that. Ooh, it's hot. Ooh, that looks good actually. Oh, hot, 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 hot. Wow, that is a lot of food. That actually looks delicious. Great big white beans and some kind of meat. It looks like beef and an orangey oily sauce. All right, it smells great. It smells like dinty moor. It smells like canned beef stew. Itadakimasu. And that's pretty good. The meat is a little bit stringy and firm, but it's nice to be able to chew something substantive. The beans are really, really tender and soft, and the whole flavor of it is just like a beef stew. Tiny bit of tomato in there, nice and salty beans, and you've got the shredded beef in here. And definitely stick to your ribs hearty. Let's have it with a biscuit. And I actually much prefer it on a cracker. That big crunch goes really well with the texture of the meat. And because it's a little bit salty with the cracker, it's perfect. All right, let's have a sip of our tea. And that's just straight up black tea. Tastes like a bag of Lipton's or Red Rose. Delicious. Black tea, simple, unadulterated. Doesn't really need anything, but of course you could add sugar if you like. Let's grab these out. Now these are screaming hot. So it looks to be like a green bean vegetable of some kind. Here we go. Ooh, a lot of oil in these as well. I'm gonna take them all out so you can see how big the portion is. This is a lot of food. Those are pretty sad. Green beans are very, very soft, just mushy soft. And they don't taste all that much like green beans. They taste kind of tinny and just slightly vegetal or plant-like, but not like green beans. But I am grateful that they include this in a ration. I think it's great that vegetables are served. They're just not very well cooked. And I think that's part of the canning process. You have to bring the food up to such a high temperature and for a certain amount of time. It's going to overcook things like vegetables. But for what it's worth, it's not too bad. It's slightly acidic. I think there's a little bit of tomato in here. And they're well seasoned, they're salted enough. And there's a little bit of onion in here. Maybe It's a matter of putting it on a cracker again. Let's do that. It always seems to be better on a cracker, right? Just slightly better on a cracker, and I think that has to do mostly with texture. You get a little bit more textural variety because you've got that big hard crunch of the cracker. So this is another meat stew dish, and I think this time it's going to be packed with peas. Hefty, hefty portions again. Wow, look at that. This must be a 24-hour ration because there's just so much food here. This one, like the green beans, I also appreciate. There's a lot of vegetables in here. Really great source of fiber. I can imagine if you grew up eating canned peas, this would probably be pretty delicious. So this entree is nice because it's not too salty. The meat is very similar in terms of texture and flavor as the first one. I think it's beef as well. A little on the dry side and fully imparted with pea flavor. Everything tastes like canned, mushy peas. All right, let's try it on a cracker. I think that will definitely improve things. And it does. Again, it's that texture, that big crunch that kind of enlivens things. It gives a little bit more stimulation to, I think, your mouth, your taste buds, and your brain. Of course, the flavors are pretty similar. The crackers only add a little bit of salt and a good amount of sugar. It's not really about the flavor. I think it's more about just the texture. Of these two entrees, I definitely prefer the beans and meat to the peas and meat, and that I think has to do with my preference of canned beans rather than canned peas. The canned peas, to me, just taste too much of like cannedness rather than the canned beans, which taste more like beans to me. Yeah, but they both have that similar soft texture, which is nice. It's like a little dip. Kind of like you're having hummus or something. Here are the napkins they included. And that way you can reseal them. And while they look like tissues, they're actually napkins. They're a little bit larger than just blowing your nose tissues. A little bit thicker material too. So it said after 2 minutes, you can twist the cap on tightly and give it a swirl. All right, let's pour some in a cup. Give our treated water a taste. Cheers. Ooh, it smells like a swimming pool. And actually doesn't taste as chlorine-y as I thought. Yeah, actually it tastes slightly salty. Some of the water purifying tablets I've had in the past were just terribly chlorine-y, but this isn't. I'm surprised, especially since I put 2 in there. Although you can definitely smell it. And then lastly, I'm gonna have one of these. And these are one of 2 bonbons that were included. So I think these are actually the same. It smells like strawberry. Here we go. Yeah, that's great. I like that candy a lot. It has a great bit of tanginess to it. It's nice and sour, full of strawberry flavor. And of course it's a hard candy, so it's sweet and delicious, but it's nice and tangy. I like it. Not like a sour candy where your like mouth is bleeding, but oh! It's actually filled. When you bite it, it's got like a fruit filling in the middle. And then it gets kind of chewy, kind of like a Mento. So my final thoughts on this ration, it is a very generous ration. The portions were huge. Definitely stick to your ribs types of meals. Lots of protein with the beans and the peas and the meat. But all around, very simple. Just have your hardtack accompaniments to go with your entrees, a couple drinks. Very, very simple ration, which I appreciate. And big thanks to Christos for sending this to me and making this video possible. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. I hope you guys learned something. Check out the military ration playlist if you want to see more ration taste tests. And yeah, be sure to follow me on social media, subscribe, share this video with your friends, and I shall see you in my next video. Toodaloo, take care, bye!